Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm in my office today and it's May as I'm recording this video, which means hopefully I haven't left it too long before recording my sum up and countdown of the review cars that I got the opportunity to look at in 2025. Now, I guess there is still room for improvement and room to go quicker, but hey, this is definitely better than recording it in October when I've done it in the past. Now, before I get into the 2025 cars, I'm going to make an executive decision here and I'm going to change up the order of the final three in my 2024 countdown. Obviously, I remember I said in the video that they could be in any order, but on further recollection, I've decided just to change it around a little bit. Well, the way that I'm ordering the cars is pretty much based on number one would be the car that I reviewed that I would make absolutely no changes to. And so for 2024, it's going to remain that number one position is the Hyundai Sonata N-Line, because seriously, that car was great. And I know people out there are going to say, oh, it's front wheel drive, I wish it had a limited slip diff, blah, blah, blah. For the car that Hyundai delivered, the Sonata N-Line is great and it doesn't need to change. So my reordering is in the 2 and 3 positions, and you can probably predict this already. So being relegated to third place is the Subaru WRX RS. And the reason for that is, whilst it was a really fun car to drive and I was glad to finally be able to drive a WRX, it was a manual, had all those things, I came away wanting more. I wanted that car to just have a bit more in it. And Subaru answered that with the Spec B a year later, or in 2025. For that reason, it's in third place, because now in number 2 is the Mazda MX-5 GTRS, the RF version, because that car didn't need anything changed. As it was, that car was exactly as it should have been. I think I probably had it in third place because it was a 2-seater and I couldn't, you can't load up the family, but that's not what that car's about. So for fitting the brief, the MX-5 RF GTRS was perfect for that. And so, yeah, that's my reordered top 3 for 2024. And so enough about that. Let's get into the 2025 cars. So I was lucky enough to have reviewed 16 cars in 2025, which is a bit of a drop from 25 the previous year, but I think as I was getting more used to the reviewing thing, I wanted to take more time about things. We had a few more contributors at Exhaust Notes, and life kind of gets in the way too, so you couldn't just jump onto everything. I had some fantastic opportunities in 2025, and that will be obvious as we go through the list. So in order from the beginning of the year to the end, and I started pretty early, we had the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, yes, the Toyota BZ4X, their first electric SUV, the Deepal S07, the MG ZS Essence Hybrid, the Zeekr X all-wheel drive, the Hyundai Santa Fe, Kia K4 GT Line sedan, the MG Cyberster all-wheel drive, the Porsche Macan 4 electric, the Aston Martin Vantage, the Kia EV3 Earth, I believe it was, the Xpeng G6 all-wheel drive, the Kia Sportage GT Line Hybrid, the Haval H6 GT, I think it was Ultra Hybrid, the BMW M240i X-Drive, and finishing off the year in the Geely EX5 Inspire. It was quite a good, interesting year. Lots of SUVs this time around. So anyway, let's get into it. So at the bottom in position 16 is the Haval H6 Ultra Hybrid. This was not the newest refined version that Australia is getting. This was the version with the pre-looked at suspension. It was unfortunate for the Haval that I jumped into this after driving the Kia Sportage, and it just felt floaty. The steering didn't feel connected to the steering wheel. The suspension didn't feel connected to anything. The wheel felt about as big as something you'd find on an old ship. And I mean, the interior looked nice. The car presented well enough. It just really didn't deliver. I know it's a cheap price. I know it offers a lot. But then as the week went on, my phone would overheat on the charger. The connection, whether wired or wireless to Android Auto, would kept dropping out. It was very on the fritz a lot. It just was not a car that impressed me in any way. And that was pretty much from day one, and it carried through the whole review time, which was a shame. Now, I've heard that the suspension changes have actually really transformed the car, and I hope that that's the case. I'm probably not going to rush to put my hand up to try out the new one, but there it is anyway. So sorry, GWM. Your Canon Vanta Ute was fine. Just not a fan of this SUV. 15th place goes to the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid for a couple of reasons. It is very obvious why this is a popular SUV amongst everybody, Uber drivers. It does its job particularly well, but it's also quite an old platform. It is due to be replaced. The new model is now out. This was the first car I reviewed in the year, and look, it's just a bit vanilla. I would even say appearance-wise, yes, it looks good for a Toyota, but it's very vanilla. I guess because there's so many out there. Yeah, but look, it did the job well enough. I found the car felt a bit large to drive and position, even with cameras and equipment around it. Just not a particularly inspiring drive. Again, not the point of a 5-seater SUV, but then I'm not in the demographic for a 5-seater SUV. So while it ticked a lot of boxes, I just couldn't get excited about it. So there it sits, number 15. Number 14 is its EV brother, I suppose, the BZ4X. I didn't not like this car, but its price point at the time of release and just what it offered, I couldn't see why you'd want this over a RAV4 and the premium involved. It is obviously the Toyota twin of the Subaru Solterra that I had reviewed in 2024. Yeah, like $80,000 for this car. Now, it's had a price cut, and I believe they've already facelifted it. But yeah, again, very hard to get excited about it. So let's move to number 13. It's another electric SUV, but this one is a first for Exhaust Notes in that it's the first Porsche that we were able to review. And I didn't really put my hand up for this, but then neither did anyone else. So on a, but after being asked to do it, I thought, well, why not? It's a Porsche after all. Now, as it goes, it was a very nice execution of a 5-seater SUV that's electric, but it comes with a lot of baggage. And the Macan 4 Electric is replacing the all-combustion versions, Porsche's most popular model over the last few years. So I really think this is a big gamble / mistake for the brand. And while it was nice and we took it up to the wineries and we had, a reasonably good time with the car, it's a lot of money for what it is. And I don't think it's going to convert buyers over into wanting it. I've seen a handful around, but that's a very small handful. And definitely the combustion ones are the ones to get excited about, but they're also massive amounts of money cheaper to buy. So I think it's a bit of a misstep for the brand here, and I hope it's not too big a misstep because we need Porsche around for their other cars. But yeah, just hard to recommend it, and it was enjoyable for what it was. I think that's pretty much all I can say about that. You know what Porsche option lists are like. So even though the car, I think, was about, starts at 134,000, our car was at least 180,000 with options added to it. And, a lot of them you're going to want to do. So number 13, I don't know, that could be a good placing, but yes. Number 12, another electric SUV. This comes from Xpeng, or I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation. I put my hand up for this one. I didn't initially want to, but then after I had reviewed quite a few of the new Chinese SUVs the electric SUVs at that point, it just seemed to make sense to add this one to the list. And I was actually more pleasantly surprised about it than I was prepared to be. I didn't expect it to be anything more than just some sort of Tesla Model Y clone, because that's kind of how it looks. XPeng is its own manufacturer. It's not teamed up with Shanghai Automotive. It's not part of Chang'an, which is like the Deepol, and it's not part of Geely. So they're their own brand, and they've, you know, when you look at their website and their research, the things that they put into becoming the company that they are, it's actually kind of interesting. And of course, they've got this big personal drone that they always bring to the car shows and things like that. So they're thinking beyond just vehicles on four wheels. I really liked its X-Pilot system, which basically uses LiDAR to detect pedestrians and objects and vehicles and things around it. It was really, really good. And when it displays on like the head-up display and stuff like that, all the information on hand was really good. It had a very good audio system, again, in-house, so from X-Opera. But then I found it kind of lacked in other areas. The center console was quite high for someone like me with long arms. I didn't find it comfortable to rest my arms on. The cup holders in the middle were quite small. Wireless charger actually was one of the best that I've seen. It actually charged the phone. I mean, even the Porsche Macan had trouble there in that in our full day of use with it, because the phone's performing navigation duties, music duties, and all that sort of stuff. But the wireless charger wasn't able to keep it charged long enough. It actually died on our way back. So things like that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, if the car doesn't have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay in this day and age, that's a bad sign. But it needs to be able to charge the phone sufficiently. It can't just have it and not follow through. I think the dealer network and things like that has been in the news recently too, so there were a few concerns about the importing of them, who you're going to go to for dealer servicing, stuff like that. At the time I reviewed it, you'd take it to your local UltraTune. I don't know if that has since changed, but yeah, I think that may have put some people off buying them. Seeing a couple around, just not as many as other brands. Number 11 is the brightly colored Deepol SO7. This one came up early in the year for review. I think we got the ability to review it faster than we expected. Like, it came up earlier than we wanted. So I try to capitalize on that for Exhaust Notes, that we could be one of the first to review it. I'd already seen a few reviews from others. This car had a really annoying driver monitor system, and being a sucker for punishment, I wanted to experience it for myself, and well, what do you know, everyone was right. But aside from that, and with an over-the-air update, they have apparently fixed it, but I didn't get to review the update version. So yeah, aside from that, the car actually was pretty good. I know it says at number 11 here, so there are 10 better cars that I reviewed, but for what it was, another new entrant from the Chang'an group this time, I didn't mind it. I actually think the SO7 is a unique enough looking car. It almost looks like a concept car. Sure, you can say they're ripping off Lamborghini a bit, or even the Hyundai Kona in a way, that bright color, the overly angular appearance and things like that. But I thought that was enough to set it apart. I literally did have someone walk past the car when it was parked out on the street in front of my house, and he turned to his partner and said, "What the fuck is that?" Like, people just had no idea what it was, and it stood out. It was in this bright tennis ball yellow. Not a color I'd pick, but this was a car I actually would recommend to people. I liked the interior. I thought the interior was really well designed. I'm kind of glad that I put my hand up to review it. I didn't mind having it during that. It was a bit of a shorter review, but I didn't mind having it at all. What else did I say about it? Oh, the air conditioning on the inside. The way the vents were positioned, it's quite low on the dashboard, so I had it during a hot summer. It kind of struggled to cool the car down sufficiently on those sorts of days. But otherwise, it wasn't too bad. Oh yeah, and it had a really good audio system, and it also had this, I forget what they call it, a light show kind of thing. So you can play music externally and it flashes all the interior and exterior lights to the music. Very gimmicky, but the kids loved it. Even my neighbors' kids would come out and want to see it. All right, so now we're getting into the final 10. So beating out those other SUVs was to come back to a mainstream brand. So it was the Kia EV3 Earth. Now this is a smaller 5-seat SUV, but being that it was a Kia, it just did things quite well. It was a little bit vanilla, but this is the electric SUV that you could recommend to people and they could get in and should be able to pick things up very quickly. The layout of the center console and things like that was a lot more intuitive than, say, the Zeekr X, which is about the same size. And even though this was a front-wheel drive version, people aren't buying these SUVs for 0 to 100 times or performance handling and things like that. And yet, it's still, being a Kia, had the Australian road tune and things like that, so it actually drove quite well. It's just a little unremarkable because of the kind of car it is. Now, if we come to number 9, I think this was the only sedan that I reviewed for the year, and it was the Kia K4 GT line. I love a sedan. I love the look of them. I had one. Well, yeah, I've only had one. I've only owned one back in the day, but I would prefer that there are more sedans around. And thankfully, Chinese manufacturers seem to be doing that, but that's something for another time. So the Kia K4 basically replaces the old Kia Cerato, and this was the GT line, which is the top spec of the current K4 range. I like it from the front. I like it from the front 3/4 view, but the back things start to go a little bit messy with the styling and stuff, and I just don't know what's happened over at Kia. They made the Cerato, they made my Stinger, beautiful looking cars, and then this comes out and you're just left scratching your head. From the front, again, on a corporate level, it matches in with the other cars in the range, all the EVs, the Picanto, the Sorento, the new Sportage. They all have that very similar headlight design, but then the back, I just don't know. I can't explain it. Inside, it's beautiful. Seats were great. It did have. I've noticed the Kias with leather interiors had quite a strong smell about them, but very comfortable. They look great. To drive, it was a little less inspiring. The 2-liter turbo engine, really nothing special, but it's not a performance engine. If they were to bring out a K4 GT, I would expect that will be more of that enthusiast drive kind of thing. We're just not getting that here on the GT line version. Oddly enough, the GT line has different suspension setups and a different engine to the rest of the range. So it is actually supposed to be better. But yeah, I think a lot of people will opt for the hatch version, which looks just a little better. And yeah, but anyway, there it is, number 9 on my list. Number 8 was a car that I actually liked quite early on, and I thought it might have placed higher, the MG ZS Hybrid Plus Essence. Now, so there's a little SUV with the hybrid engine. I think at the price point, so it was about $36,990, and what it offered being the top grade, I thought it was really good. It just had a weird habit of over revving the engine quite a lot. And I think as I read further on, as I researched it, this is a case of it trying to recharge the battery somehow, which is a bit of an odd thing. But the car itself looked good. It was quite capable for our small family. The green paint was wonderful on it. It was really nice. And again, we come back to price point, we come back to value. It was really good for what it did. I was telling my mum to consider it for replacing her Hyundai Kona for a previous generation one. And yeah, like 5.6 liters to the 100, it was quite efficient. It seemed to be anyway. It was pretty powerful. It wasn't too hard to get the wheels spinning on damp roads and things like that. So yeah, like I didn't think it was a bad offering. So there it is at number 8. Another small SUV, as we come to number 7, it's the Zeekr X. I really wanted to get into a Zeekr this last year, and the X being their first offering, I was constantly putting my hands up as soon as any time we got word about it. I think, yeah, the date got moved around a little bit for when I would take it, and yeah, it was good fun. Interestingly, when I picked it up, the key fob was dying, so it actually bricked the car for a little bit of time. But we just found we had to replace the coin-shaped battery in the key fob, and then we were all good. But considering the car wasn't that old, that was a little bit of a concern that I had to bring up. Ergonomically, the center console and that needed a bit of an update, and interestingly, Zeekr have done that with the 26 version, so they've already reworked it. But otherwise, I thought it was quite a fun little car. A little bit expensive. We had the all-wheel drive version, so that's the top one. Dual motor, 0 to 100 in 3-ish seconds. Like, it was crazy fast. But like I said, good fun. And the suspension tune in it and everything did allow you to have a bit more fun in cornering and stuff, which is why I've placed it higher than the EV3. I think the driving experience was just that bit better in it. And from a styling point of view, I don't mind its unique looks, but I know a lot of people do. But yeah, I don't mind a car that looks different because we have way too many cars that look all the same. Yeah, I'm not going to say I don't think the Zeekr X is an ugly car at all. It's just definitely geared to a different audience, and Zeekr said that from the start. If you want something a little more sensible from their brand, go get the 7X. That's definitely a lot more conservative, but also a very good looking car. Number 6, this car surprised me. I did not expect it to even reach the top 10, but it's the Geely EX5 Inspire. Again, a small electric vehicle, a small SUV. I'd seen other people review this, and most notably Brett Davis from Driving Enthusiast said he did not give it a glowing review at all with regard to driving. And look, I'll agree with him, but this car, for what it says it does on the box kind of thing, nailed it. And again, you got to come to the price. The Inspire is the top of the line version for under $50,000 drive away. You could have everything that the X5 Inspire came with, including a recliner, a adjustable footrest for the passenger seat, front passenger seat. There was under like a drawer under the second row, massage functions for both front seats, full leather, big heads-up display. Sure, it was front-wheel drive, but everything that was offered in it, it was very spacious. I took some work colleagues out to lunch in it, and they were all pegging the price at from 60,000 upwards. So when I said it was 50,000 drive away, they were definitely surprised. And most people, again, are not going to be buying these to carve up mountain passes and to go for a driving, a super driving experience in it. So I felt that even though it was a bit of a soft setup, I think for the majority of people who would own them, it's fine. And definitely the ship must have come in because I'm seeing a lot of them on the roads now. So good for Geely. Yeah, so it was actually a good thing because I did go in not with a negative mindset, but I was just not expecting it to wow me in any way. And as I said, I didn't think it would make my top 10, and here it is, almost in my top 5. So well done, Geely. I respect them all the more for that they've actually come in with a car that's, in my opinion anyway, is quite good. Business End, top 5. And I think Mark, our chief editor, may be a little disappointed that this car is in the 5th place, but it is the Aston Martin Vantage. I was very nervous about taking this car on, but once I got into it, all that went away. Because of a public holiday, I think I picked it up on a Monday, returned it on a Tuesday. The only problem there is that I had a limited amount of kilometers to use. Like you can't drive over a certain amount. But what a week that was. And yeah, to experience such a premium brand, being half English, being a Bond fan, all that sort of things, to be able to drive an Aston Martin, to be able to put it in my garage and, that alone, obviously experience alone and just this car's wow factor would shoot it to number one on that alone. But on my criteria for this ranking, I can't just go out to someone and say, yeah, go spend $450,000 on a two-seater sports car, and you'll love it, because the car's not perfect. The price is a big starting point on that, but even things like how some of the panels lined up, the boot wouldn't close on one thing, the passenger door had issues. Like the first time I went to take my wife out in it, I couldn't open the passenger door for her. I mean, these are big, not big, but these are things that a $50,000 EV can do. You want your $500,000 sports car to do it as well. So little things like that. The seats weren't the most comfortable, certainly not for a long drive, because this one had the carbon bucket option, carbon ceramic brakes, all those sorts of things. I mean, for a driving enthusiast, this car nails it, and it looks amazing. This version of the Vantage looks so much better than the outgoing one. I know there are people who might think differently, but for me, this was the perfect update. I wasn't a fan of the rear of the old ones. It makes more sense on this one. The larger grille and stuff on the front makes it look more like the Aston Martin 177 from, what, 20 years ago? I saw that car as a kid at the motor shows. So to be able to drive a car that's inspired by that look, just fantastic. But yeah, obviously there are the downsides, and there's driving around in a car that's worth so much, the insurance considerations and things like that, the fuel usage. I don't see me topping this experience anytime soon. What a car. Look at it. Look at it. As it goes, I can't in good conscience put it at number one. So here it is at number 5 in my list. Number 4. This car I wanted to review in 2024, and then I was actually down to review it in 24. Well, I think it was a different engine, but it was the same grade. And then I quickly tossed it aside once the WRX became available. So it's the Hyundai Santa Fe, and it's the base level one, but man, what an impressive package options list this car has for a base model. It's big and roomy. Yeah, there's definitely no problems with space, even as a 7-seater. Very capable, maybe still controversial on its looks, but such a capable car. Yeah, really, really actually enjoyed driving this one around. And it was good to finally get in a one and kind of validate everything that you'd heard about it. So yeah, we took it up into the Blue Mountains. I think it was during the holidays, whilst the autumn leaves and that were changing color. And yeah, look, it was just a really nice, capable car. Cavernous, there we go, that's a word that I've used. This one had the 2.5-liter turbo force, so more aimed at those who were upset that there was no diesel option. This one's good for towing over the 1.6-liter turbo that was initially released. So it was good on Hyundai to release another engine option. Okay, so the final 3, and we have an SUV has made it onto the podium. It's the Kia Sportage GT Line Hybrid All-Wheel Drive. So this is basically the top spec model. I liked the pre-facelift Sportage look. That was, I think, the first of Kia's change from their tiger nose arrangement on all their cars to something different. But then they changed the look as they went along. So the Sportage actually started looking out of place compared to the rest of the cars. Finally, I think the Sportage lost a little bit of its individuality as a result of that. But again, I still don't mind it. I think it is still, it's definitely a Kia, and it's definitely in line with the brand and everything. Very capable car. Bit smaller than the Santa Fe, definitely got to say that. But we took it on a family road trip down to Kiama and stuff, fully loaded it, 5 occupants inside, and it did really well. Fuel economy is quite good, being that it was the hybrid. And yeah, really didn't find much to complain about with it. Being a Kia, everything felt right, looked right. It didn't have the full width screen just yet, so you still had You still had physical buttons and things for the radio and the aircon in the center. So quite a good setup there. Yeah, well done, Kia. Oh, and also, yeah, I've been wanting to get into a Sportage for some time, so it was actually good to finally be able to drive one. So yeah, again, well done, Kia. Now, if I can get into a Hyundai Tucson, that's one I've been waiting to get into as well. Number two. Now, I don't know if you've been keeping count, but anyway, number two is the MG Cyberster all-wheel drive. I got to go to the launch event in 2024 and I was super, super excited to get behind the wheel. That came up in 2025. Again, the date got moved around because something happened to the, I think something happened to one of the press cars. Thankfully, I did finally get into one and I loved it. It was only, it was a short review period. I think it was only over a weekend. I think, or from memory, it was wet as well. But yeah, those crazy scissor doors, the full electric roadster kind of thing. I had more people stopping me, stopping and looking, wanting to have a chat about this car than any other, including the Aston Martin. Yeah, people just wanted to know all sorts of things about it. Of course, people would critique it for being electric, but they did like the look of it. And I'm glad I got a red one because that to me is how it should look. I know they've got a few other bright colors. I would love to see a yellow one in the flesh, I'll be honest, but the red would be my pick. Even at 120 something thousand dollars drive away. Interestingly, still the most expensive MG you can get, even more than their premium brand that's come out this year. So go figure on that. But wow, what a drive. I wasn't sure how it was going to drive, but very quickly found out it drives really well, even though it's about 2 tons in weight. And yeah, just had some good fun with it. Only real issue is that when the roof was up, or even with it down, I found that I had to just lower my head a bit to see below the front window frame because it's being a convertible. That's the only nitpick about it. But yeah, what a car! And look, it was just good to have that payoff from doing the launch, being excited about this car, and then to be able to drive it and realize it. Now, this is the all-wheel drive one. That's the initial one they released. They have since released a rear-wheel drive version, which is a bit cheaper, slightly down on power as well. I do wonder how different that car might drive. I reckon it would still be fun. And there have been rumors that a hard top could be coming, but I haven't heard anything on that for quite some time. So anyway, I had a lot of fun in the MG Cyberster. I think it's a beautiful looking car. And yeah, like I said, I'm just super happy that I got to drive one. So that brings us to the number one place for 2025, and that's the BMW M240i xDrive. There it is. I've been a big fan of BMW's coupes for a long time, and I've reviewed 3 BMWs for exhaust notes by this point, all of them electric. So when the opportunity, I didn't get to drive the M2s when they became available, but the M240 I wanted to put my hand up for because when I was shopping for the Stinger, I was looking at the previous generation M240, the M235 as well because that was basically the same car, and the M2. I just couldn't quite justify it being that they would be older cars, they'd be out of warranty, less practicality too, no rear doors, stuff like that. But you know, when the opportunity comes to review one, definitely. So put my hand up, and yeah, it did not disappoint. I loved the M240i, even though it was all-wheel drive, it was still rear-wheel bias, super comfortable car, all the things you expect of a modern BMW, and with that super cool look. I mean, they know how to, even though I know some of their recent designs have been controversial, I think the 2 Series still, at least in coupe form, it still nails it. And yeah, I think the M240 is actually maybe a prettier car than the M2. Controversial, I know. But yeah, no, I definitely really enjoyed it. Had a good time. We took it on a road trip to Canberra, which was an overnighter. So we loaded up the boot for the family and stuff. And again, it just did it all with no issue. There was no problems at all. And there's that glorious engine, the 6-cylinder B58 under the bonnet, and the exhaust sound and everything, all the different drive modes. Yeah, I'm just smiling ear to ear and wanted to drive that as much as I could, get my most out of it. So yeah, I think it was no surprise that it got to the #1 spot. I kind of had a feeling that it would be high on the list. I mean, in the end, when you look at the cars that I drove, I think the only two cars that could give it any competition were the MG Cyberster and the Aston Martin. In an ideal world, those three cars would be on the podium, but when you have to discount the Vantage purely on its price, the MG Cyberster had a couple of things about it, and it's about the same price as the BMW, but it's electric and it's a convertible. Okay, so there is that. But the BMW was the better all-rounder, and it's something that I could see me owning and not really wanting to do anything with. Like, the only thing seriously I'd change about the review car is I would change the color. So it nails the brief. So yeah, that's it. Well done to BMW. But yeah, like I said, yeah, look at it. I don't think there's any surprises there that, it's a car that made it to that spot. So those are the cars that I got a chance to review. As I said, it wasn't as big a year as 2024, where I was basically putting my hand up for everything. And like I said, I think I could just take that step back. I don't think I had to prove myself anymore as much, and I wanted to take the time to do it right and just pick out cars that interested me more. So there was the 16 I reviewed, but I had put my hand up for some others. So I was going to review a Kia EV5, the GT line. So that's their bigger electric SUV. Due to having rescheduled the MG Cyberster, I think the MG Cyberster clashed with it when it got moved. So I just had to swap a car out, and I'm telling you, yeah, you'd be taking a Cyberster over an EV5, I reckon. I was also down for a Chery Tiggo 7 Ultra Hybrid. I can't remember what happened there. I think there might have been a clash with something else. And a Subaru Forester Sport. I've only put down that I didn't get to review the cars. I didn't put the reason for why I didn't get to review the cars. But seriously, looking at that list, I don't think I'm missing anything. I've reviewed enough SUVs in 2025. So yeah, it's certainly not like 2024 where I missed out on a few cars that I actually was keen to review, the BYD Seal, the Alfa Romeo Giulia. So yeah, I think overall 25 was a bit more of a relaxed, but definitely a rewarding year. I mean, look at those cars. And yeah, so what do you reckon? What do you think? Did I get it wrong? It's hard when so many of them were SUVs. Maybe you get excited about them, so you might think differently about how I've put the list together. But obviously, this is just from my experience with them. And this is a very summarized version of a full year of reviewing cars. So I may have missed a few things, but that's certainly how I recall it for this video. And yeah, I think to have missed out on only 3 review cars that I'm really not that bothered about, I think it shows that it was quite a good measured year for reviews. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it a bit informative. I'm going to cut the video together, hopefully get it out before July. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, thanks for joining me on this recap of 2025. 26 has been a quiet year so far, but there's some cool stuff coming on that space. So stay tuned. I'm also going through a whole bunch of videos. You've got an eye for what I reviewed in 2025, but some of the behind the scenes footage will be coming real soon on those, because I did film a lot of vlogs as well to accompany some of what we did last year. So stay tuned for all of that. I'm going to stop I'm going to stop talking so much now. But thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.